What is going on, guys? Welcome to another PTBI Success interview. Today we have our student Kahlil, who is crushing it, knocking out of the park. Kahlil joined our program last year in March 2022. During the time he was graduating college, graduated from college, had his coaching business on the side, ended up getting a 9-to-5 job, and I tried to talk him out of it, but he was very adamant about taking this job. Took the job, lasted maybe a month, ended up quitting, and then went all in on his business. Since quitting his job, Kahlil has scaled his business to over 10K per month. He's joined the Takeover program. He's built a full team. He's got a VA. He's got an AC. He's running Facebook ads. And it sounds like he's going to be hitting record months here shortly. One thing I wanted to mention too is I did have the honor of meeting Kahlil in person in San Diego at a retreat. I consider him a close friend now. So Kahlil, welcome to the interview. Why don't you give yourself a little bit of an intro?
Man, I'm stoked to be here, man. I first got into fitness just growing up playing sports. Played almost every sport, was pretty much naturally athletic. I quit when I got to high school, and there's like a 1 to 2 year gap when I didn't do anything. And then I picked up lifting just as kind of an outlet and honestly started working on my confidence, as I'm sure a lot of people listening to this did as well. From high school, went to college. I was one of the most involved students you can imagine, involved in pretty much everything. And then from there, I had a mentor kind of get me into personal training. In-person training, COVID hit, and then, from there, started looking to going online.
Awesome, man. Definitely have a lot of questions for you, but why don't you give people a peek inside what your life looks like right now? We're going to talk about Kahlil before, but, give some people some perspective. I know you just moved out, you're in a new city, you got a team underneath you. So tell me a little bit about what that's like.
Yeah, so right now I'm living in Houston, Texas. I moved here shortly after graduation this past May. Life looks pretty good. I hate to sound corny, I'll say that I get to do whatever I want all day, but I pretty much get to design my days however I want. Day in the life, wake up, drink some coffee, get to work, hit the gym whenever it makes the most sense. And then afternoon is pretty much team meetings all day, client calls, sales calls, and that's pretty much a day in the life.
It sounds like a lot of work, but I know because you love what you're doing, it doesn't feel like work at all, huh?
Oh, 100%.
Awesome, man. So let's go ahead and talk about college for you, because I know that you found PTBI right before you were graduating. I think you were in your last semester. You decided to join PTBI while you were in school. So how did you find personal training? What made you decide to be an online coach, and why did you join when you did?
Yeah, that's a loaded question, but let's see. It was my freshman going to sophomore year of college. I had a mentor that kind of got me into personal training and actually doing it for myself, taking a more entrepreneurial route rather than just getting a job and working for a gym. I started getting paid. I think I was charging, the first few clients were free just to see if I could do it. From there, I think I was charging literally $3 for an hour just because I was so scared of charging people and actually charging people for my time. I realized people were actually willing to pay $3. So gradually increased from there. I got certified, and then COVID hit. By the time COVID hit, I ran my prices up in person to $25 per hour, which sounds good coming from $3, but it's still I was struggling to make $1,000 per month. I was working 20 hours a week. COVID hit, and I started looking into other venues because I pretty much lost my entire client roster. At that point, I started making PDF ebooks and just training programs. I spent 2 months building them out, put a bunch of money into photo shoots, getting them to look good. And then I dropped them. The plan was to run Facebook ads on them, and the plan completely flopped. I had, I think 5 or 6 people buy them, friends and family. I was losing money every day on Facebook ads. From there, I was okay, there's, there has to be a better way. And I was kind of just scrolling through Instagram. I had been seeing the concept of online coaching and actually building out the systems and having systems that would allow you to kind of scale and take on a larger roster without having time as a restriction. So I hired my first business coach. From there, he pretty much taught me the front end of the business. So marketing, sales, getting people in the door, but I still had the same time constraint, literally meeting with people on Zoom every single week, having to reschedule, basically the same thing, same restrictions as in-person training, just without physically being in the gym. And at that point, I was I realized there was a problem. There's literally a cap how much time I have. And that's kind of the point where I started looking into doing something else. I think that was like 6 months to a year after my initial business coach. It was my last year of college. I was still extremely involved in everything else on top of starting the business. And I think the biggest thing for me was like me realizing that like I know for sure I can make this work. I can make it full time, not only make a full-time income, but like crush it and scale my business. I knew for sure I could, but I didn't have the right systems to do so. So that's kind of when I actually think you DM me, like right around the time I hired my first business coach, and you were just like constantly popping up in my feed. And I realized you had the systems that I was looking for. Like I knew what I was missing, and like you had it. For me, like joining PTBI was pretty much a no-brainer because I knew for sure like if I had the systems behind the experience I already had, then scaling would be, I don't want to say easy, but like I guess pretty easy compared to what I was doing. But yeah, that's my journey.
So, question for you, because I know from us working together that once you graduated, your parents were like, hey, you need to get a job. It's stable. You went and got a job. But it sounds like, building a business was something that you felt like you needed to do or that you wanted to do. So, where did that come from? Have you always been naturally entrepreneurial? What inspired you to start a business? And even after the failures that you faced in starting your business, 3 times, you had the personal training business that shut down because of COVID, the failed Facebook ads launch, the failed online business with the same problems. You were still determined to figure out your own business. What was pushing you to figure it out when you could have just went and got a job or did something else?
That's a great question. I think one of the biggest things was that just like me knowing that I could, and with the job that I took, I had an internship the previous summer. So like I kind of had a feel for what things would look like if I took the job and if I was running my business at the same time. And ultimately, like I realized the thing that pushed me over the edge was like, well, to answer your first question, yes, I have pretty much all my life had like an entrepreneurial bug or like wanting to do things myself and not really wanting someone like telling me what to do all day. And I just knew it was possible. I knew I was capable of doing it. And I'm not the type of person to shy away from something that I know I'm able to make happen, especially if it's something I really want. I mean, at that point, it was pretty much like a no-brainer for me personally. And I had the job lined up before I joined PTBI, literally like a year in advance of like when I actually started it. By the time I actually did start, I think like 2 months after joining PTBI, from like graduation to a month after, I was making a full-time income like from my business. Although I wasn't where I wanted to be, I was making more than my job would have been paying me. I stayed 2 months. The first day, like the orientation day, I knew I was gonna quit. I was just trying to play my cards right.
That's so funny, bro. That company hired you a year out and then you quit like 2 months after, and they're down bad right now. That's funny. Let's talk into specific strategy, because I can't remember off the top of my head where your followers were at on Instagram, but I definitely knew that you've built a good following since joining PTBI almost a year ago.
Yeah.
Your followers are now at 21,000. But I know you didn't start there. Do you remember where you were online before joining PTBI?
I want to say I was around 1,500.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So what helped you go from 1,500 followers to 21,000 followers in a year? What were the strategies that you used? What's your philosophy behind social media? Walk us through that.
Man, so social media, Instagram specifically, well, really all social media is a freaking roller coaster. It's emotional ups and downs constantly. Honestly, it was just, if I would say like the biggest thing, it was being around people who are also taking that kind of stuff seriously, which is like kind of parallel with everything else in my business, like being around a community of people in PTBI, like they're actually taking all this stuff seriously, and like, have someone that you can talk to on a regular basis to like ask questions about. That was a big thing for me, but also just consistency and like working on like the quality of your content. Those were the two things. Like you keep plugging away, whatever your posting schedule is, if you keep plugging away and you're continually like working to improve the quality of what you're putting out there, eventually like your following will grow over time.
I love that. Yeah, I actually heard that someone had said something that consistently does matter, but if you're consistently posting bad content, you're not going to grow. So
Exactly.
what you're saying is consistently post and create content, but also improve the quality of your content. I have your Instagram pulled up here as well, and the quality is obviously there. Now, as of February 2023, Instagram program has just been
It's
tough.
been
Yeah, it's been
rough.
tough. It's been rough. But at what point were you at when you were making a full-time income with your business? Because a lot of people think they'll look at your profile and be like, of course he's making 10K a month. He's got 21,000 followers. But you were making 2, 3, 4 grand a month full-time income way before you had that many followers. So, does followers really even matter when growing a business online? Like what's your take on that?
Yes and no. It's not required, obviously, because if you think about like in-person training, for like people who are like doing in-person training, you don't get those clients from having a massive social media following. And a lot of times in-person training clients, you're actually, I mean, depending on your coaching program, are actually paying more for like those sessions than they would for like program that actually helps with nutrition and accountability. When you like think about it like that, like what's actually the value proposition for your client? It's like your clients, A, most likely came from your like original network in person to begin with, and B, are willing to pay more for in-person training than online coaching overall as a package. So I think that's important to like understand. But also my first 25, 30 online clients, I would say 80% of them were like people I knew.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people sleep on their in-person network. They don't put enough emphasis on tapping into that network, where I believe that's where you make your first 10K is tapping into the people that you know. Let's talk about this, because I think you brought up a really great point. You have experience as an in-person trainer. You have an experience as your own successful online fitness coach. What are the benefits? What are the pros and cons for your clients in person versus online? What's a better offer for them from the client's perspective? And then what's better from the coach? Is it better to be an in-person trainer, or is it better to be your own online coach? What's your perspective on that?
That's a great question, man. I see this all the time. One of the biggest limiting beliefs that not all people, since online coaching is not like new, but I think a lot of clients and coaches like have this misconception that without the in-person support, you can't see the same level of results. Like one, I guess, paradigm shift for me that like helped me understand the difference and like in the value that you can actually provide online versus in person is that when you work in person with someone, what you're paying for is the experience. You're not paying for the results. If you were actually paying for the results, then that person would help you with your nutrition. They would be there watching exactly what you eat all day long, because that's where the results come from at the end of the day. They will be there making sure you get to bed on time. They will be there throughout the day making sure you drink enough water. They will be there to help you meditate in the morning when you're stressed out, which is like all things that, online coaching can help keep clients accountable with that in-person coaches don't get to see. And one of my biggest problems as an in-person trainer was that my clients were seeing great results. Like my clients who wanted to build muscle, like obviously like we're going to gain some muscle in the gym. But the thing about like a lot of fat loss clients or just like recomp clients, any client, is that you don't get to see what they're doing outside the gym. They can lie to you about like, hell yeah, I've been eating healthy. Or like, oh yeah, like, I went out, but I didn't drink too much. What is not drinking too much? What does that mean? Is that 4 drinks or is it 10 drinks? Like, what does that actually mean? So I'm keeping people accountable. Ultimately, like there's total accountability when you're working online with someone, and you get to see 1 hour of someone's day 3 days a week if you're working in person. That's really what it comes down to.
And I think another important thing for us to mention here is that the reason why in-person trainers often can't be tapping into clients 24/7 around the clock is because in order for an in-person trainer to make enough money for them to survive and live, they have to be packed out on their schedule all day long. And so as soon as that client leaves the gym, they're not thinking about that client anymore until their next session, because they got a session in 15 minutes of another client that's coming in for a workout. What's the benefit of online coaching for the coach?
I think we've already talked about it. I mean, for the coach, it's like time is the major one. You spend significantly less time per client per week, but you're able to get them better results and able to actually hold them more accountable. In addition to that, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't talk about is like you're actually able to build a community. And with fitness, like one of the biggest things that I think makes fitness so popular, makes people love it so much, especially who are new to working out, is that community. So like if you think about CrossFit, for example, CrossFit is probably like the most popular sport, weekend warrior thing to do right now. And it's because of the community. It's not because like people love Olympic lifting. It's because of the community. So on like the coaches end, it's like when you build that community, it's like your clients like love it so much more, but also it's just like it's so fulfilling for you to see that. But also like one thing, like I mean, I didn't even mention is like your time. You're able to get your time back. Like I said earlier, my schedule all day long, honestly, if I wanted to just like chill, there's some days like I don't do a lot. I might be working, but not like intensely working. I have at this point, like with my team, partially like being scaled out. I don't work with every single client one-on-one. I'm not doing outbound outbound every single day. I'm still a part of like both of those things. I'm not like in the weeds with every single piece of the business anymore. It's where like our business is working and our business is growing without me having to like be in the weeds with every single piece and being stressed out about like me finding the time to do every little thing. So I would say that's the biggest thing for me. But also if you want to enjoy a weekend or enjoy a day off, it's no worries, because if you get what you need to get done, then you're taken care of.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Something I wanted to talk about that you had mentioned earlier that I wanted to circle back to is that you had tried launching a business before with Facebook ads. You built this beautiful product and you put it online with Facebook ads, and pretty much it didn't really go anywhere. Why do you think it didn't go anywhere? What mistakes do you think you made? What did you learn from that experience? And what did you do differently this time around with your online business that actually made it successful?
Man, this is something I heard from, I forget who I heard it from, but someone told me when I started, like around the same time I started PTBI, that people buy coaches, not coaching. And it was one of the most profound things I heard, because you can get coaching from anywhere. Go online, look up online coach, or look for like an in-person trainer. Like you can find that pretty much anywhere. But like actually starting to build your brand and like show people who you are, show people what you're about.
Going back to the ebook that you launched and sold on Facebook, why do you think it didn't go anywhere? What lessons did you learn from that experience? And what do you think you implemented differently this time around with your coaching business that made it successful?
I think the reason it flops was because of there was no like customization. I was using buzzwords to sell them, and like they weren't like fully connecting with my ideal audience. So I think that's the reason it flops. The reason why things are different this time around is because literally everything is customized down to what food we give to our clients, what we have our clients focused on with their nutrition, what their training plan is, down to like what exercises they're doing, how many reps. Like everything is customized. We're making our clients are literally getting a plan built for them and made for them, and we're able to work with them on a weekly basis to adjust that as necessary. So they have access to you 24/7. So
awesome, man. Well, we're nearing towards the end of this interview. What kind of advice would you give to someone else who is currently in college? They have a job lined up, but they know what they want to start an online coaching business, but they're not quite sure where to start. What advice would you give to yourself a year ago, essentially right before you started PTBI?
I knew I wanted to do it to begin with, but I would just tell anyone to take the leap of faith. I know it's a very cliche thing to say. At the end of the day, the only regret I have is that I didn't get started sooner. If my first business coach was Zach, like I would have been, I don't even want to think about like where I would be in life or in my business right now if I had bought that extra year back. But yeah, I would say just do it. Like just get started. No matter what that looks like for you, just get started. The information is out there. The resources are out there. You can try cherry picking online. I know I did before I joined PTBI. I was cherry picking Zach's students. Like I was looking at their funnels, what what their type form looks like. Get started. Take that leap of faith.
I love it, brother. Fantastic advice. What are your goals for 2023? What's on the plan?
We want to serve 250 people. That's first and foremost. By Q3, Q4, we want to be hitting 20, 30K months, and then ramping up the team.
Love it.
Bringing on a second, maybe third assistant coach. We'll just see where things end up there.
Beautiful, bro. All right, man. Appreciate you hopping on. Where can people find you online if they want to give you a follow?
Find me on Instagram at I'm_Kahlil Fitness.
Sweet. See you guys next time. Peace.